Hey guys, how's it going? This is Cardinal Bird 5. Today we're going to finish up our top 10 series, at least by positions. Maybe we'll think of something else later on. Since the stupid servers are down, I don't know why, I haven't made a video in a few days, and I was going to try to get on here and play a few games, make a few videos. We're just going to use Daddy Leagues to go over these. Now, I do have a list together, so it's just going to be a little bit different format. We're going to go over them on Daddy Leagues. So again, thanks to Daddy Leagues. Check out Daddy Leagues if you guys haven't checked it out. A few things I want to go over. If you guys haven't heard of Daddy Leagues, definitely check them out. Me and the creator of Daddy Leagues created up some algorithms last year to kind of rank players by position. It could use some fine tuning, but this is kind of what I mean, I don't just look at this and then base it, 1 through 10, but I kind of start my ranking by looking at some of these ranking systems. And basically what it takes, or what it does, is it takes out the meaningless attributes, and then it weigh, like for right fielders, for instance, which we're going to do, it'll weigh certain things for like hitting and defense, prototypical right fielder, contact speed. So hitting and defense, it's going to be mainly like power and defense and contact. Prototypical right fielder is defense is going to be involved, more like arm strength, things that right fielders usually want good arms for your right field. And then contact speed, defense combo, are going to be more like your Tony Gwynn guys. So we'll click on that, see Tony Gwynn, Ken Griffey Sr. These are like contact speed defensive guys. So anyways, check that out, because this is kind of where I at least start to do my rankings on. I don't just list them 1 through 10 and copy it. Don't trust me on that. But it is a good list to check out. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started with our rankings of right fielders. We're going to start with honorable mention. First honorable mention, it is going to be Tony Gwynn. Unfortunately, he just did not make my top 10. I really liked this card last year. This year, I just don't find him to be as valuable. Don't get me wrong, though, still a good card if you're looking for speed and defense and fielding. And there's really not too many right fielders that possess those tools. Most of the right fielders are just strictly hitting, and some of them have, some of them have good arm strength, but a lot of them just do not possess, overall balance skills. So if you are looking for that, this card's for you. Fortunately, it's not really quite what I'm looking for, but this is still a very good card nonetheless. Our next honorable mention is going to be JD Martinez. This is a very solid budget card if you guys are looking to go that route. You can see he only cost about 1,300 stubs, and I know he comes with some pretty good quirks as well. I think he has the first pitch hitter quirk. I think he might have one other one too. And this card also has the benefit of playing up some days. The downside to this card is his fielding is not very good at all. A decent arm though, but definitely a solid budget card. Next on our list for honorable mentions is going to be this postseason Joe Carter. It's cool they brought this card. They should have brought it last year. We all know about his walk-off home run in the World Series, so he does have that 99 clutch, which really doesn't do much. This card has a lot of power, so that is good. Unfortunately, not a huge fan of him versus righties, and you're going to see a lot of righties with this card. The 59 contact, 69 plate vision, I believe is a pretty huge deficiency to have for an everyday player. And he really doesn't possess any other tools. The fielding, arm strength, reaction, accuracy, stealing, speed. Nothing else is really there. This card does hit lefties very well, so it'd be a nice card to have on your bench. But there are other, split platoon guys, whatever you want to call them, that we're gonna go over later, that possess, some other skills that this card does not have. Another honorable mention, and this is a very solid card. I almost thought about putting it in my top 10, and I mean, he has some really good stuff going for him. Is this rookie Yasiel Puig? Not a bad price. I mean, to me, this card is really kind of diamond quality. It's a very solid card. The one deficiency this card has is definitely his fielding. He has a great arm, and he has above average speed, I would say, for a right fielder. He can hit righties pretty well, and he hits lefties even a little bit better. You would like to see a little bit more plate vision, but you can see ratings such as this clutch right here, 35. If that was like average, like 70, 80, he would probably be a diamond. But you guys can see they left that pretty low. Just not a huge fan of, I guess, the fielding and the speed and all that. I mean, I think there's slightly better hitting cards that have a little bit better fielding. But this card was really, really close. Honestly, this card was probably going to be 11th on my list. The next card on our list is Nelson Cruz. This card can flat out hit. Similar to JD Martinez, he just doesn't have a lot of defense, but he does have a decent arm. But his defense is pretty bad, and he doesn't have a lot of speed. But if you're looking for a good bench bat, this card can just flat out stroke. He has 88 power versus righties, 71 contact versus righties, and he just almost perfect versus lefties. But again, if you're looking for platoon guys, I mean, you could play this guy every day, sure. He's just going to cost you some runs in the outfield. And this is kind of similar to JD Martinez. I think JD Martinez might have a little bit more contact and plate vision overall, but this card has a little bit more power. Not enough to make the top 10, but a good card nonetheless. The next card on our list is this Justin Upton card. And this card is really solid as well, and he actually has above average fielding with a decent arm strength. Actually has pretty decent speed as well. I'm just not a huge fan of this card's, I guess, like his splits, the way they work out. Versus righties, I mean, he's actually better than I would expect him to be, but against lefties, he has only 64 contact. Overall, he only has 62 vision. Don't get me wrong, this is still a very good card. And, you can bring him off the bench, play him any positions, and at least, he's going to have some value versus righties and lefties. I just wish if he had more contact versus lefties, I could see this being like an everyday card. And don't get me wrong, it's still a solid card nonetheless, but he just misses the top 10. Another honorable mention, and this card basically didn't make it because he can't hit righties very well. I mean, he can hit righties decent, but again, there's other platoon guys out there, if that's what you want to call them. They're not really platoon guys. I guess you call them more split heavy guys. Lefty hitting specialist or whatever you want to call it. There's better ones out there, and Hunter Pence is good at what he does, and he hits lefty as well. But this is really only a card you want to play from your bench. The good thing about this card, he does offer some good speed, fielding, arm strength, reaction. It just the hitting versus righties is a really huge deficiency to have, since you're going to be facing righties at least 2/3 of the time. So this card unfortunately cannot make the top 10. So coming in at number 10 on our list is Aaron Judge, and he does have two cards. They're both 87 overall. There's slight differences between the two, but they're very, very similar. I would honestly, I'd almost prefer the live series because of the quirks and the inside edge. But they're very, very similar. Their fielding is almost exact. But anyways, so this card comes in at number 10, and you could look at this card and you could compare it to maybe the Upton or maybe the Carter. But I think what this card gives you over those other ones is his fielding and reaction and arm strength is all a little bit better. Especially the Carter, his stuff was all in the 60s. And I like this card a little bit, a little bit more than those cards, so that's why I put him number 10. Very good power, 90 power versus righties, 92 versus lefties. And of course, he's 69 contact versus righties and 74 contact versus lefties. This other card actually hits lefties a lot better, so if that's something you're looking to, give a little more protection with your left-handed bats in the lineup, maybe this is the card you want. I think this one's definitely a lot cheaper though, a lot cheaper. The really one downside to this card, and I could put him a little higher if he had more plate vision. The plate vision is pretty bad. I think he will get upgraded in that eventually because he's not striking out as much, but it's going to make it a little tough against righties, and it's going to make it a little tough against righties, with good sliders, good stuff, and you're only going to have 69 contact to 37 vision. I kind of compare this card to like a Stanton, whatnot, but Stanton's just a little bit better overall and everything. So this card comes in at number 10. Alright, and coming in at number 9 on our list, and again, this is more of a preference thing for me. If you're looking for a more overall player, Mookie might be higher on your list. He does a lot of things really well. The one thing he lacks to me is a little bit of power, even though it's good enough to get the job done. But the one plus side to this card is he's going to have, I think, the most plate vision out of all the other cards on this list. So his PCI is probably going to be the biggest among all right fielders, well, except the one that we'll get into a little bit later. But his PCI is going to be very decent size. And he also comes with 83 speed, 85 fielding, 83 reaction, decent arm strength. So definitely an overall really solid card. I just prefer some right fielders a little bit more than him because of his, because they have a little bit more power. The one thing that adds a little bit more value to this card is the fact he can play second base. And if you put him at second, I'm pretty sure he's a 99. So that adds a lot of versatility to this card already. But this card, to me, personally comes in at number 9. Coming in number 8 is this All-Star Dave Winfield. And again, this is kind of in the same boat as Mookie. I like this card a little bit more for my right field, if I'm looking at right fielders, because of his arm strength. I think he has the best arm in right field. Cruz might have a better arm, I don't remember, but this card defensively is probably the best one in right field. Good fielding, good arm accuracy. So only 72 reaction, wish I was a little higher. But I mean, when I think of prototypical right fielders, this card is definitely going to be up there. Again, he has very good contact and plate vision, so he's going to be like Mookie, a decent sized PCI. You wish this card had a little bit more power. I mean, if this card had power, in the high 70s to low 80s, he would be a lot higher on the list. This is just an all-around good card. And he's actually going for a pretty decent price if you guys are looking, for a defensive player in right field. But anyways, this card comes in at number 8 for me. And coming in at number 7 is this Impact veteran Jason Werth. You get this card by completing the Nationals collection, and man, this is a very solid card. A lot of good things going for this card. He's not really just a platoon guy, but I mean, if you already have a pretty stacked outfield, this is definitely a card I recommend to have on your bench, because once you plug him in over, you know, Harper or Reggie Jackson or whoever, he can hit righties pretty well too, you know, if you have to keep him in later in the game. So I really like his splits. Obviously, he just dominates lefties, but against righties, you know, he's around what Mookie Betts does against righties. He's just that much better against lefties overall. Play vision is not the greatest. Again, I don't put a ton of value in play vision. It's really just kind of a small bonus. Fielding, his fielding isn't too bad. It's 70 overall. Fielding, 69 reaction, whatever. The one strength of his fielding is obviously his arm strength, and that's kind of what you're looking for in right field. So he does possess a good, strong arm. And really, this is just a solid card. I would definitely recommend considering having this card on your bench. You're going to pay a hefty price to get this card because you have to do the Nationals collection though, and in doing so you're going to have to get Harper anyway, so it's kind of weird how that works out. But this card overall comes in at number 7 on our list. And coming in at number 6 on our list is this 92 overall Sean Green. You get for it's a random daily, and then you get a player epic. I almost have this card, but I will say the one thing I really do like about this card, well, there's two main things. The fact he bats left-handed, and the fact he has 96 plus power against both handedness types of pitchers. The fielding, you know, fielding is okay. Arm strength's okay. He's not terrible out there. He's going to be a little bit better than somebody like, you know, Cruz or Carter. But I just really like this card because he's left-handed, has a lot of power, and I know that sounds kind of weird. But I thought about it, and you know, I would think in the long run this card would give me a little bit more value than Werth, Winfield, Mookie, and Judge, and then all the other honorable mentions that I've already went through. This card can flat out hit for power. That's why I like it. And there's not a ton of left-handed bats. We do have a few, but that is one advantage as well that he has. So he comes in at number 6 for me. And coming in at number 5 is this All-Star Jose Bautista. I really was thinking about putting the Sean Green over this card, but I think this card is just a little bit better because he's a little bit well, he dominates against lefties, and Sean Green doesn't really have good, great contact versus either type of pitching handedness. This card does. The one downside about this card is his fielding, overall fielding and reaction. He does possess a good, strong arm in right field, and he can also play third base. Not sure if you'd rather, you know, play him there. And he can't. The fact he can't play left field kind of stinks, but whatever. This is a solid card, and he has a lot of power as well. And that's really the main thing about this card. This is one of the best hitting cards out there, and I will say this right field list, there's really, I mean, this is probably the most I won't say controversial, but you can rank these guys, you know, just about anywhere. It comes down to personal preference really and what you value. And this card is very, very good with good power, so we put him at number 5. All right, coming in at number 4, and before we get to number 4, I have a few players I'm not going to include in this video just because we had too many honorable mentions. It's a live series, Giancarlo Stanton, and there's also a 90 overall Jose Bautista. And it's not the fact that they're bad cards, it just, I didn't want to put 10 honorable mentions. So moving on, coming in at number 4 is this All-Star Giancarlo Stanton you get by completing the whole NL East collection. Now, you look at the cards hitting and you think it's very similar to, like, you know, Jose Bautista or Joe Carter. But the one cool thing about this card is his fielding is very solid. You wish he could have a little bit more reaction and maybe a little bit more arm strength, but he's going to give you good solid fielding in right field, and that's really what gave him the edge over the other, you know, right-handed, you know, heavy hitting power cards. So he comes in at number 4, and I think this is probably the most probably balanced right field card that you can think of. Maybe him or Mookie, but Mookie has a little bit more contact. And so we're going to go ahead and move on to number 3. And coming in at number 3 is Ted Williams, the rookie. Now, honestly, you could put this card number 1 if you just favor straight up hitting, but in right field, I want a little bit more defense. And if this card had fielding in the 70s, he would definitely be number 1 on my list, but he does not. So I know that's kind of crazy. 1 through 3 was really, really close. And I really like Ted Williams' swing, and it's kind of weird they put him in right field. Like, I wasn't aware that he played right field his rookie year. I thought he was just, you know, mainly left field, but whatever. He comes in at number 3 for right field, and this is your best hitting card overall, in my opinion, compared to any other cards on this list. It's just his fielding isn't good enough to me to be the #1 right fielder. And number 2 is probably going to be a surprise to some of you. It's the hardware Reggie Jackson you get for Conquest, basically for free. You just have to grind for it. Now, if you look at the attributes, you would probably say, you know, why is this card ahead of Ted Williams? I can't really explain it. I just flat out do really, really well with this card. But I will make an argument that his defense, even though it doesn't look like it's anything sexy, his fielding and defense and speed and all of that really is kind of undershadowed or overshadowed, I guess, however you want to say it. He gets the job done. I put this card in left field on my main squad, and he just does a very good job defensively. I don't remember any time that he just dropped the ball. I know it can kind of randomly happen in this game, but also his speed at 74 is also kind of underrated. And this card just has some weird power. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because of a spray chart, but this card just flat out strokes for me. Maybe I'm just a little biased because I've had this card almost since, you know, like the first week the game came out. So I'm not quite sure. The reason I like this card a little bit, again, over the Ted Williams, you know, if I had to pick an argument, is the fielding. I think there's a huge difference going from the 60s to the 70s, and he's an above average fielder, while I think Ted Williams is probably below average, and this card comes in at number 2. And coming in at number 1 is the Live Series Bryce Harper. Again, I just personally, you know, enjoy using this card. Again, if I had to pick one reason why I have these, you know, this card and the Jackson over the Ted, is I just think their defense is better, and they also have more speed. Now, one more thing about this card that I kind of like over the previous ones, or the previous 2 that I mentioned, is he has a pretty good arm as well. You wish his fielding was a little bit better. Overall, this is a very good card. He's also a Live Series card, so he has those Live Series quirks, and he has the inside edge. So there's going to be a lot of days where he's going to have maxed out power versus righties. And, you know, right today he has 89 contact versus righties. Against lefties, he's not, I wouldn't say he's great, but I'd still say he's pretty good. 77, 72. I just think if you're looking at right field, me personally, this card plays great for me. So, and that's pretty much going to do it for the list. I know a lot of you guys are probably going to say, why don't you have Ted #1? You know, this was probably the most wide open list. I mean, you could honestly make an argument that Mookie's the best right fielder, or Ted's the best right fielder, or the Stanton's the best right fielder. There's definitely a lot of arguments to be made. These last 2 cards just personally play really well for me. So let me know what you guys think. If you guys have any other ideas for a top 10 list, let me know. I'm not sure, haven't thought of any other ones yet. But thanks for watching the videos, guys. This is Carl #5 signing out. Peace.